Shout out Big Steve.
Shout out Michael Bisbin. UFC early tease, UFC Macau. Actually been to China, great place, years and years ago. And we'll look at all the early odds for Jan versus Figueiredo and all the regionals that have odds available. Otherwise, there is no point. But first of all, did we make money on last week's MMA? Yes, we did. And it was a good card. It was a good weekend, I should say, for myself. Finally, something to build on. So let's get into it. Go over a little quick recap, the good and the bad, what we regret, what we did well, and then we'll tackle this card. What the hell is with this? This is not the right thing. That's also not the right thing. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. So we didn't start with Cage Warriors. Well, apparently Cage Warriors was before Jake Paul. So Cage Warriors, I'll address this. I'll address it because we're addressing, all the good and the bad and the regrets. So second time in a row, I've just kind of tackled Cage Warriors last minute. I said I would start a little bit early because I know it's a bad card. And a bunch of things I liked. I like this Richard Kalios. It was $8. I literally said to one of my gambling mates from UK, I was like, I found a great dog. And he's like, I understand it, but I wouldn't bet it because of this, this, and this. I was like, man, this is a great dog. I just need to put $100 on it. Wins me around one armbar, whatever. Didn't tape a bunch of these fights. I actually liked Wesley Meyer, especially with all the sharps that I respect betting Loof. Didn't bet it again. Easy round one sub. And yeah, all the boys were on James Webb. I actually did tape that one. I think I was just a pansy boy. But yeah, I thought I would address it because 2 weeks in a row, 2 Cage Warriors card in a row. I just taped it last minute, and all the reads that I had with about 10 minutes tape ended up winning. So maybe something to focus on next week. Or next time there's a Cage Warriors card, which I think is this week. So we'll do that, right? Paul versus Tyson. Here's a fight that I tried making excuses for. I tried to look at reasons to not bet Jake Paul, right? I'm like, Tyson looks good. He doesn't look like a 60-year-old. And then as time went on, everyone is betting it. All these bloody influencer bettors, the famous ones that suck shit. Oh, best bet of the century. And I'm like, it's never that simple, right? It's never that simple. And then my friend made a good point. He said, this is one of those ones you can't overthink. And I'm like, he's right. It's almost a 60-year-old man. So I bet, I only had like 750 on Paul. And as the week went on, I'm like, man, this card this year has been so hard for betting and so hard to find like smash spots. So I have to smash this. And I didn't really smash it, but I just ended up having a whole 1,000 on Paul to win almost $500, so almost a unit. But yeah, it's something. I wasn't even gonna have 2 units on it. So that one, I tried a live bet at $1.60 after he lost round 1 to Tyson. Obviously, he was kind of letting him come into the fight, but it is what it is. So I won $4.50 there. This fight's not even on here on Topology, but Gamebred. I remember someone brought up Gamebred in my in the chat for my last week's early tease. Maybe it was Lucky Tim. I can't remember, or someone else, or Six Hound actually, I think it was, asked me about freaking Maurice Green versus Chase Sherman. And I said, this is a really good card. And I kind of taped a little bit of it, but the limits were $100. And then I saw that Jesse Ronson was still picking, and I saw my boy Chad in the Discord kept posted like a screenshot of him betting Ronson for $100 a billion times. And I checked, it was still Pick'em, and I did it. And I actually bet 3 times at Pick'em until I had a whole unit on Jesse Ronson versus Curtis Millender, a blast from the past. He just took Millender down and submitted him. So I won $450 there. So I'm like close to $900 on the boxing and the regionals. Then we get into KSW 100, right? And I did a podcast for this. It's a huge card. KSW 100, 100th event doesn't come every so often, and this is one of my favorite promotions. If you know this, an Octagon, some great fights, and I said this is where the money was going to be made. Now I had $2,000 on Verzosek, the Glory kickboxer, which I did tell everyone, and it was the same as the Ferreira fight in PFL, Problema, and I also last minute, I didn't want to go put all my money from my Bet365. I might even lose my Bet365 because they hate when you bet big money on regionals and win, especially with CLV. It was $1.37, which was like 71%. I mean, I thought it would be the same as the Problema fight, which was, 25-second knockout. And then last minute on my Unibet, which I barely have any money on, usually I get limited on there, they released props. and I ended up betting Verzosek inside the distance, which was like $3 difference to the under 1.5. So everything was good here. Verzosek money line, Verzosek inside the distance, which is basically his money line. The under 1.5, which had the best odds. You could have bet Verzosek round one. Just everything was great, but just unfortunately not enough money in the world to bet everything, with only one book having props for myself. Heretic, I said on the early teas, I didn't know why this was a pick'em. I spent too much time thinking it moved. I overthought it. Heretic knocks him out again in the rematch, just like the first time. A little bit more adversity than the first time. But yeah, Marcin, man, gets knocked out in almost every single fight. The longer he goes, the more he gets knocked out. Philip the Fries, that was a great parlay piece. Ran through Darko even quicker. Bartosz, I did say Mamed Khalidov has meme powers, and there you go. He was losing every single minute of the fight, and then he just reverses, gets on top, and he's the first person to submit Adrian Bartoszynski as a 44-year-old man that's half retired. This guy's an animal. That guy was probably the riskiest parlay, but I will go back through the card. I did say Bivol or Briz was dog or pass. Bivol knocks him out in 25 seconds. I did say it was this guy or pass, this African dude. David, horrible minute winner, but I just couldn't do it with, how he doesn't have any good wins, and they're all split decisions. He ends up winning a unanimous. Apparently, it was the biggest shit show of a fight, which just sounds like David so much. He cannot be trusted. And if he can't get a KO, he cannot be trusted as a favorite. So no regret there. Maybe a little bit of regret on Bivol. Igor, I said he would win a minus EV, and he did. He won a 29-28, but it was a very competitive fight. Damien, I said might have a bit of value, but guess not. Piotr, just good wrestler, good everywhere. This one, Zalewski. I really like Zalewski. I know my boy Dog played him, and I was so close, to tail him because it was an aura bet, and I already had an aura bet on Marcus McGee on the UFC, but I guess it was a step up too much, got knocked out. Richala, I like the doesn't go, which was $1.65. Again, on Unibet, that's the only book that had it. And yeah, that some regrets here, because Heretic, maybe a unit on Heretic, maybe parlay the freeze with Rizosek with a bit better return. But yeah, all the unders were money. I wish the unders were on Bet365, but other than that, yeah, could have made a little bit more money on KSW, but I hit the big bet. It's been a while since I had a max bet on someone, and Verzosek hit in 25 seconds, so I won over 1,000 there. So I'm looking at close to 2,000 now with Gamebred, Boxing, and KSW. And the only regret at the moment is not going bigger on Paul and some things on KSW. But I've got $1,000 on McGee. That's my only bet. And I'm just saying to myself, please just give me McGee. I haven't had a big card. If McGee loses, I'll lose $1,000 of my Verzosek profits, and I'm just, 2 units up again. I'm like, I need a big card. I deserve a big card. It's been all year. So we start Eduardo Mora, Veronica Hardy. I'm glad I dodged this one. A lot of people on Hardy, and then obviously some late Mora action. I did say it was hard to get a read. I didn't know how Mora was going to look at 125. She looked great. Obviously looked much better than the Gomez fight. So don't really regret not hitting the Mora plus money, because she lost round 3, and she fought perfectly in round 1 and 2. Outstrike Hardy. Like, if she doesn't land a couple of those big overhands and Hardy lands a couple more kicks, could have been a different fight. So no regret. Oban Juice actually covered. I know I was talking with Sparring with Reality, Luke, great guest. I was definitely going to play half-as, but the more the week went on, I'm like, it feels like the Semmelsberger fight, where I'm getting tempted by a huge number, and he's a stupid fighter, and he was a stupid fighter, horrible game plan. In the end, Elliott, had the perfect fight and even knocked him out. This one right here, Mickey Gall. He's going to be out of the UFC, and I can say I've never lost money on Mickey Gall. Didn't agree with all the CLV action. I only taped one fight of each, and I'm like, nah, Mickey Gall does not, it should be pick him at worst. No way, minus money. Brahimaj knocked him out. It's like the only knockout he's had in his career, so absolute bum. I'm actually happy for Brahimaj. But yeah, good on him. Tabura, Jonathan Denise. So my friend was like, you have to play the under here. You have to play the juicy under. I know Luke as well from the show parlayed this, and I did the same parlay. I parlayed Marcin Tabura with under 2.5 with Charles Oliveira under 2.5, just because, I felt like what everyone else thought, I thought could happen. I thought Denise could knock him out. I thought Tabura could ground and pound him. But I hate Tabura's ground and pound. And we saw that in round 1, just sitting on him in mount. He's trying to go for mother's milk. He's trying to smother Denise. I'm like, dude, just throw fucking ground and pound, you dipshit. Like, what are you doing? Then round 2, again, like he had 3 minutes in mount, and he's just doing this weak-ass ground. He's just holding on holding onto his head with both his hands. It's like it's not a submission, it's not anything. And I'm like, where is the urgency from this spastic looking idiot? And then he just throws a couple of elbows at the end, and then Herb Dean pisses me off by letting the guy almost die in there. And then he brings in the doctor. So that's Herb Dean for you. He will let you die in there, but then he will pretend to have compassion by bringing in the doctor to look at you. And the doctor is only in there because he allowed you to almost die in the cage. So, that hit. So I only had half a unit on that because I wasn't confident about either of the under 2.5s at juice. So I just parlayed, that. But that hit. But obviously the co-main event lost. David Anama Romero, I felt like playing the under 2.5. I thought Anama could finish Romero because he was a punching bag. That would have been tilting, extremely tilting. This is where I have one of my biggest regrets. I thought Jim Miller had value, a ton of value, and I thought the under had a ton of value. So at this point, I'm going to my friends. My friend that's a black belt, a friend that we started MMA together years ago, and I haven't. He's obviously a casual now. He doesn't gamble, and he wanted to watch a John Jones. So I went over to his, and I started drinking, and there was people over, and then I made the error of playing Jim Miller round 1 KO at $12 instead of just Jim Miller round 1, which I thought he could sub Damon Jackson, even though Jackson hasn't been subbed in a long time and he's a black belt. I thought he could do it. He's been subbed in his first UFC tenure, and I just made that crucial mistake of being greedy. And then it was only $50, but if I made the right choice, I would have won a whole unit. I would have $50 to win 500 on Jim Miller just round 1, but that pissed me off a bit, And then Marcus McGee, and I'm like, here we go, give me this $800 so I can say I've made a lot of money on the weekend. And Marcus McGee, it looks great. I was drinking. I wasn't planning on live betting or hedging out. I'm just like, let's let it ride. Round 1 easy, round 2 easy up until the end of the last minute. It seems like he got hurt. And then, obviously his leg almost fell apart in round 3, but we broke it down perfectly. I said he was going to be more athletic, better boxer, quicker. He could switch stances if his leg gets compromised, which is exactly what he did. And I actually said that Jonathan Martinez was probably going to grapple a bit against the cage. And thankfully, he did it at the worst time. But yeah, Martinez should not be ranked. I don't even know if Marcus McGee should be ranked. He got exposed a little bit there. I honestly thought he was live to knock out Martinez. But we won, so 800 and something, 875 there. I did lose 50 on Jim Miller. And then Huffy, a lot of people like the KO. I thought about it. I'm glad I passed. I would have been super tilting. Viviane Araujo. Oh, then I had a little parlay, $100 parlay, which was Karine Silva 1 takedown, literally the same price as her money line. Bo Nickel KO, Charles Chandler under, and Jones money line. Just because I was drinking, I was up big. There was 5 cards on the main card, and I had no action. So I just put $100 on that parlay. Obviously, Karine Silva takedown hit. So that happened. But, yeah, obviously, Bo Nickel, bit of a stinker of a performance. Charles Michael Chandler, I don't know how that didn't finish. Weird performance by Charles as well. Kind of underwhelming from both these guys. Michael Chandler just hurts him in round 5 and then just air whiffs back to back with 2 hooks and does nothing. Gets his back taken. And then Jones, Stipe, as I said, a lot of people on the overs. Jones almost finished him in round 1. But yeah, I just thought there was going to be a KO with the whole glove narrative going on. Obviously, spinning back fist. But I do actually regret not playing Jones inside the distance. It was plus money, which was a no-brainer. But at this point, I was quite tipsy, actually. So, won 875. That should have been my only bet on Marcus McGee. I'm still trying to fix that discipline. Lost $50 on Jim Miller round 1, which pissed me off the most. And then lost $200 on the Charles Oliveira under and Tabura under parlay. So a couple of donations. So $450 for the UFC. So in November, only had 1-2 losing events. LFA when I was drunk, and then UFC Magni, which pissed me off. It was a very profitable card, and I just bet like an idiot. But then, a little bit of game bread, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of KSW, a little bit of Miocic Jones. So we're in a good spot, man. I don't even know how much I'm on. I'm almost on $4,000 for November, which is like 8 units. I said I wanted 10 this month and next month. As long as I don't fuck it up, I should get close to 10, and I can end the year, great. I don't even know if I'll get to 30,000. If I get close, it's respectable at least. It'll be 20-something units, and I can just say I'm not a bum. I know some people didn't even profit this year, some sharp people, which is a surprise to me. So I'll take what I have, and the bankroll is growing. I feel comfortable paying the bills, paying off the wedding again. After freaking August, shit was looking grim when I had to reduce my units. Shit was looking very grim. Yeah, it's good. It's good. We'll go over the comments and we'll get into it, right? Lucky Tim, only up. That's the spirit, mate. Only up. Dogfather, woo, indeed. What's up, Aussie fan? Dogfather, Ronson, love hard, correct. Dogfather, cousin of Sheffield. Yeah, pretty much. Same head. Same head. 6 Hound was tilting that under 2.5 so hard until the doc. Oh, man, tell me about it. Yeah, but I didn't get anything. I got tilted for nothing because I parlayed it anyway. All right. E9, EVR. Clapping hands. Let's go. FIFA gaming. One of the greatest weekends this year for Steve. Well, I'll tell you what. I still feel like I didn't do enough. And after losing that, it was more so losing the little $400 that I've earned on McGee on like stupid plays and the Jim Miller play. And I just realized it's like, it's just like such a disease. I have an addiction on gambling. And when you lose, you feel like shit. And when you win, you feel like shit. You just feel like I hit a massive bet on Sheffield, which shit could have been worse if I didn't hit that. And then you hit like obviously the Paul bet, which you go, I should have bet more. And then you profit on UFC, and you still feel like you didn't do enough. And it's like, wow, this shit is it always feels like you don't do enough. So you got to leave the emotion out of it. You know, win or lose, we'll keep it going, and try to be grateful. But I've had better weekends than this, money wise for sure. Unit wise, 6 units. I have 2, but it was a long time ago when betting MMA was a bit easier. Alrighty, what do we go for regionals? This is a cool card actually. This is Saturday night for me in Australia, so I get to stay in, not socialize. Maybe I'll drink again, probably not, but we'll see. We got LFA 197. We have Cage Warriors. So as I said, I'm actually going to try focus on Cage Warriors, not tape it last minute. Or if I do tape it last minute and I have reads, I'm just going to pull the trigger instead of second guessing. One start taping early because a lot of these Cage Warriors fights fall off. They're known to fall off early in the week, so we'll leave it. And what else we have? I know there's Brave, good card. I had a look over it. Aries, decent card, but I won't be talking about it. There's no odds. So fight odds. Let's see what we have on fight odds. We have totals, right? There was some Ryzen that I could have done better on, but there were some parlay pieces. But oh well. FIFA Gaming. I cashed out my McGee bet, so I understand it. Oh, come on, mate. Don't know why you cashed out. I didn't reduce. Or maybe you got scared because Steve didn't reduce, that it wasn't a lock. But what are you going to do? All right, let's get into this, shall we? And I'm looking into this for the first time. I've done no tape. I wasn't going to do early teas till tomorrow, but here we are. Mota Mahashate. Yeah, this is one of those ones where, the dog has some value. Both guys can be knocked out. And, Mahashate is minus 200, which is crazy. I mean, he's basically a KO or bust in a lot of his fights. So it's one of those that has value, but it's so hard to play Mota when he's so live to die. It's volatile. It's volatility. Mahashate barely beat a washed Gabriel Benitez, which I'm looking at it now. I just completely forgot about that fight. And he's got some issues with his own striking defense, right? Got knocked out by Boroshev, Boroshev strikes, but you see he fought James Lontop and couldn't really get anything off on James Lontop. So any moments or anything, and he was landing some bombs on him. So yeah, I mean, volatile fight. I guess Mahashate is due for a KO because he didn't knock out Chinny Benitez. But yeah, it's a dog or pass, man. Dog or pass. Let me see what the unders are. This screams juicy under. Okay, it's plus money. That took me by surprise. So the under 1.5 is plus money. So there you go. Make of that what you will. Maybe because it's gone over 3 times in a row. Against Slava, against Rafa, against Benitez. And obviously the Steve Garcia went under. Like, who would have thought? No surprise there. Let's see Motors. Yeah, Mota, Tristan, thanks for listening, mate. Mahashata is a big guy. He's a huge guy. And Mota is not. Mota, that pathetic performance against Trey Ogden. All right, Tom Nolan. It's the first times I made a reel on one of my bets, the under 1.5 there. Lasted about a minute. Jim Miller ran through him. Yeah, I mean, this under should have some value, man. Should have some value, but there's a potential chance that it goes over, only because Maheshate, needs to land that big overhand right. And, it's one of those. All right, let's move on. Now, full disclosure, some of these road to UFC fights I'm going to have to, refresh on. Right? It's not like all the UFC fighters that I have a good read on. I've missed some of the road to UFC fights. I know Long Zhao, he's a well-rounded guy. Kwang Lee is also well-rounded, and it's pick'em, so I don't feel like, Long Zhao is taking a bit of action, slight favorite on some books, but yeah, I feel like this one's probably accurate. Long Zhao's been competitive in every fight. This fight that he lost via split, was that a finale, road to UFC finale? I think it was UFC Fight Night. Oh, so he's already fought and lost on the Whitaker-Liscaro fight. Yeah, that's right. I don't remember that fight. Oh, I do actually remember. It was pretty cool. Yeah, he's just the jack of all trades, whatever. Let's not waste any more time on this fight. Kwang Ling's all right. He's better than I thought. All right, this fight right here is pretty cool. Leon Kavanagh, right? I bet him in his contender series. Faded Mr. Ho. And I think he's a great fighter. Great fighter. He's got the aura about him. And this Jose Ochoa guy, I taped his fights and I'm like, man, this kid is good. I think this kid, don't know who was meant to fight on Carlos Huachin. Oh, this guy was in the UFC. Don't know who was. Oh, he's meant to fight Jack Duffy. That would have been a sick fight. I think he would have beat Jack Duffy, and I think he would have came into the UFC. I think this kid's a beast. He hasn't fought anyone good, but he's fighting someone good now. All right, this best guy that he's fought is Pantoja, 5-0. He's like 7-1 or 7-2 now. He's a good fighter, but yeah, dog or pass, man. What are the odds right now? Ochoa, man, people are still parlaying Leon Kavanagh. This is, if Kavanagh wasn't special, in my opinion, this would have been an easier click. But Jose Ochoa is not a bad dog play. I'll tell you what, I see something special about him too. So yeah, let's move on. Carlos Hernandez versus Tumen de Beryl. Yeah, I know this Mongolian. They're hating on my boy. Everyone's trying to fade him with Carlos Hernandez. Hernandez was a massive underdog. I think it opened up, and now a ton of money on Carlos. And I will say, Carlos is not worthy of this price without tape. I know Carlos well, right? He's an absolute soy boy, as soy and as weak as you can get. He's talented, but quite soy. And he's getting knocked out by Tyra. He's been dropped before as well, like split decision to Barres and also Vitor Altamirano. He's a guy that will win a split decision against a low-level fighter, and he could potentially have a split decision against a solid fighter like Ray Saria, for example. So yeah, I mean, this minus money, not really interested. Where is it at now? Money's been coming in constantly. Minus 200, man, that's filthy. Filthy. I think this Mongolian, despite the people like to shit on him, I think he would finish him. He could very well finish. I think his jiu-jitsu is underrated. That rear naked choke that he locked in on Peter Danoso on road to UFC was slick. He hurt him before that. He beat Top Night Kiran. He fought like a bit of an idiot there. Yeah, he's all hardware. Finishing instincts, big power. Just a bit of an idiot, but yeah, dog or pass for me, man. I'm gonna have to look into that one. Zhong Feng versus Min Shi. I think Min Shi was like an underdog in every single fight on road, and she just kept getting upsets. She's a massive underdog here too, right? Yeah, Fang was one of the favorites to win. I mean, she should win. Can she upset another favorite? We'll see. Who cares? I'll look into it at the end, I guess. The Dogfather, plus 310 on Ochoa Wild. Correct. He's a very good fighter, man. He's a very good fighter. I wish we seen him tested more, but then we probably wouldn't get this line. 6 round. What do you think about over 1.5 in the Kavanagh fight? It's probably juiced. I don't really like those lines. Yeah. It's kind of like the same line that we had in the Ho fight in Contender Series, and people were playing it because they thought it'd be competitive, and then Leon killed him with one punch. Like Leon is quite hittable, and we don't know anything about Choa. Maybe he can get knocked out too. So I don't like those juicy totals, especially because I've been losing money on totals constantly. And again, I lost on the weekend on a total parlay, which just have to stop playing him. Just have to stop playing him. Kira Sahata, Donghon Choi. This Choi kid is good. Beat Junashite in a close fight. Sahota is chinny, but he somehow made it to the final in the UFC. He's a bit of a Cage Warriors bum. Yeah, I have to look into this one properly. But it makes sense why Choi is the favorite. He's got a lot more talent, in my opinion. He's got higher upside. But, both his fights were split decisions, so who knows if there's any value on him. Let's move on. Su Young-Yu versus Jenna Suli. Yeah, can't make any comments on this fight, so let's move on. Let me just have a look at the totals, just for the sake of it. Jenna Suli, swinging up $1.70. That makes sense. Su Young seemed quite good. The over is juiced, which probably means competitive fight. Sahota, well, a little bit more money coming on Choi now. The under wouldn't be a bad shot, considering Sahota is chinny. He's been fighting wrestlers so far, so maybe he can get cracked by Choi. But Choi is like, technical striker. All right, let's move on. What's next? Aussie Diaz versus Mangyang Zhang. This is a volatile fight, as volatile as it gets. Aussie Diaz is chinny, but he has power and he finishes dudes. And Myung Zhang, you could actually say, is chinny too, because he has 6 losses? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 6 losses are by finish, and most of them are by KO. Right? Got knocked out by the GOAT, Askar Mozarov. I remember his fight with Ribeiro was pick him, and old mate Peace hammered him, and I was like, I don't know how you don't see this as a really volatile fight. And people saying he was young against Askar, but you're young, but your chin doesn't get better with age, technically. Yeah. Dogfather, classic under 1.5. What is that? Extreme juice? Let me have a look. It's got to be juice. Minus 200, Jesus. With old gloves, supposedly. With old gloves back. I know Aussie's been having some super underwhelming wins in LFA. Got killed by Piper in PFL. He's gotten hurt in so many of these LFA fights, and then he just hurts him back. If anything, it just seems correct, accurate, like it should be the play. And Zhang has also been submitted too, which Aussie has some submission path here. Ribeiro, yeah, I'd rather play the under and lose than play Zhang at juice, unparlayable favorite. Yeah, maybe just play Diaz. Hope he doesn't get killed. And then if he goes over 1.5, then you kind of have decision equity. Maybe play Diaz and the under, and hopefully Diaz cashes both for you. But all right, great fight right here. Volkan No Time versus Carlos Olberg. A couple more wins for Olberg. He should be there for a title shot. Just killed Alonzo. Volkan Ozdemir. Who's he beat? Johnny Walker. Yeah, that was easy money. I wish I went huge on that one, but hindsight. Yeah, what are the odds on this? Let me know the odds. Let me have a look. Yannick said Fight Nights will be using the new gloves. Yes, we know. Not that I think the gloves change anything. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, I also think it's a bit overrated. I think it's kind of like the narrative and rubbish. But hey, John Jones said that it's really hard to close your fist and squeeze your fist and properly throw. And who knows? We saw 2 dudes that can barely bust a grape in Elliott and Ramiz Brahimaj knock people out. So with the old gloves. So maybe there's some credence to that. Let me have a look. So what are we on this fight? So yeah, Olberg, man, very juiced. And the toughest fight he's had in a while. Under 1.5 is plus money. Volkan, the worst thing about Volkan is extremely slow, and he's obviously 35 years old. Olberg is 34. So yeah, Olberg's going to have massive speed advantage. Volkan is hittable. Volkan kind of hurt Krylov. It was hurt by Ankalaev, but he wasn't finished. I remember that. Yeah, I mean, this is a dog or pass, man. You know, he beat Guskov. He's flying high right now. Everyone loves shitting on Guskov. Guskov landed some bombs on Volkan. Volkan didn't react whatsoever. I think his chin is still good. So anyway, just treated Johnny Walker accordingly, as you should. So dog or pass here, man. Dog or pass. I have to look into this one. This interests me. This is Olberg's been fighting a lot of bums, and he still gives me flaky vibes. So we'll see. But he can. Well, Olberg can knock out anyone, man. I remember betting him at Pick'em against Nicolau, and I was like scared that Nicolau was going to pressure him and break him later on, and never got there. He just got destroyed. So proud of that bet. Alrighty, Kong Wang, Gabriela Fernandez. I don't like this fight at all at this money line. I think the hype on Kong Wang is way overblown. She's gone to decision with Amanda Hedaya, New Warriors. She's gone to decision with Yanan Wu, who they cut from the UFC. She slowed down in both fights. Because of that, it wasn't the easiest click on Victoria Leonardo via KO, a barely plus money, because she has a lot of decisions. And instead, I just opted for round 1 KO because I thought if her KOs come, it's in 1 and 2. And she did it easy, but the easiest, one of the chinniest people that's ever been in the UFC is Victoria Leonardo. She got knocked out almost cold by Erin Blanchfield, right? So, but now she's fighting a really good striker and a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, right? Gabriela Fernandez, her issue is the takedown defense, but is Wang going to push that here? 2 strikers, Cody Wang, just a tepid, low output fight. No, thank you. Gabriela Fernandez submitted Lucinda. Sure, she submitted her back in 2018 when Lucinda was 16 years old. But she's a more well-rounded MMA fighter. And, her losses, Jasmine Jasdavicius, Teresa Blader, and, barely beat Carly Judice. But, yeah, dog or pass, man. Dog or pass. I guess that fight, because it was a split decision and Carly was very green, that doesn't age well. But she did well early. She kicks like a truck. Alrighty, Kenan Song, Muslim Salikov. Dog or pass, man. Dog or pass. Salikov is washed as all hell. We're getting a lot of recency bias. He was a plus 150 underdog. I so regret that not playing him. I said on the podcast I'll play him, and I didn't play him. And instead I opted for the under, and I lost. No worse feeling than that. And now Kenan Song is a plus 145 versus a washed Muslim Salikov that barely got past a washed Ponzinibbio. So as I said, the best edge we'll always keep getting, even though it's harder and harder to bet, is recency bias. So again, Kenan Song is a bum. He made a meal of that Ricky Glenn fight, but it's a dog or pass. It's a dog or pass. He can easily kill Muslim. Muslim can easily kill him. Both chinny, but yeah, dog or pass, man. Just have to decide whether I'll play it or not. It's going to be, and I'm definitely not playing this plus money under and losing my money again, just like in the Ponzinibbio fight. 2 wash, guys. No, thank you. Zhao Yanan versus Tabitha Ricci. Some of the lads are already playing Ricci. It makes sense. This is the only fight I started to tape. And, I taped Ricci and I taped her last 2 fights because, Tisha Torres has a bit of similarities in the way she strikes. She was outstriking Ricci on the outside, coming back from pregnancy. And Lupita Gomez dropped her a couple times. So ultimately, I was like, not really interested for now. Zhao Yanan is a way better striker. She has power. She's dropped girls with that right hand. She dropped Zhang, twice with the right hand and once with the side kick. She dropped Mackenzie Dern with a big right hand. Obviously killed the ever durable Jessica Andrade with one right hand. So Tabitha Ricci, yes, she's going to grapple and she's got good cardio and she'll keep grappling proactively for 3 rounds. But she's just a bit small and the striking, she has no power. I feel like, Zhao Yanan in China, she's going to have all the crowd, the big punching upside. Not saying there's no value on Tabitha. She's been a great bet for me. I've been trying to fade her, and then I've also played her as well. So she's been good to bet on and fade in certain spots. I don't know. I'm not rushing. I'm waiting. Obviously, the line hasn't closed in. No one's tipped out Ricci as a big bet just yet. But yeah, I guess it's a dog or pass, but I get why Yan is a favorite. This is a big step up for Ricci. But maybe Ricci can submit her, man. Zhang submitted her in round 1 and freaking Jason Herzog, the dipshit, let her get away with it. Just that has to be corruption, man. The judges know you cannot pick up the fighter, and Jason Herzog himself picked up the fighter when she was choked out. So I didn't have anything there, any unders or any sub. But I feel sorry for the people that did, and that's MMA in a nutshell, especially this year. I don't know if that happened this year, but it did. Just crazy. Crazy shit has been happening this year. So I guess it's dog or pass. I'm not sure. I'll look into it. The under could be good there because Ricci does have some submission upside. $4.25. All right. And we're up to the main event, Peter Yan versus Davison Figueiredo. I mean, what do I say about that one? Peter Yan is taking so much steam, man. So much steam. I'm not rushing to parlay him or anything, man. I think he's washed himself. I think he's getting more and more injuries. He's burnt me bad against Merab Dvalishvili. He should have been the perfect guy to beat Merab. You know, great wrestling, anti-wrestling, great cardio, better striking. And he just came in compromised, you know, with a leg injury, with a shoulder injury. And then against Song, I bet Song at plus 150 last minute because a lot of money came in on him. And after, 1.5 rounds into the fight, I'm like, this is a great bet. And then Song just kind of slowed down, and Yan stole the end of round 2 with some bullshit, and he stole the end of round 3 with some bullshit as well. So that was quite annoying. But what does this say? It says torn ACL, torn meniscus on Topology. Does this actually tell you the injuries that the fighter had? So according to this, I think he tore his ACL in the Song Yadong fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's another injury for Yan. Yeah, I'm not interested, man. I think Figueiredo, I've been underestimating him. You know, maybe because he fought a washed. Maybe because what's his name? Because I thought he was washed. I thought someone like Font could put in a performance that he put in, like against Phillips. And yeah, I really didn't like my Chito Vera bet. I got tempted by the plus money, and that was more likely to be a 30-27 for Davison rather than a 29-28 for Marlon Vera. It's just a bad bet. But yeah, I'm not rushing to play. I think Davison actually has a chance against Peter Yan, especially this version of Peter Yan. So no, thank you. I will not be rushing to play the chalk. So yeah, it is what it is. So at the moment, this plus money under in the motor fight has my attention. Ochoa definitely has my attention. Two men the barrel, maybe. What's the under in the 2 men the barrel fight? Didn't look into it. Under 2.5 is plus money in the 2 men the barrel fight. Maybe that's it. What else? All these Asians, haven't looked into it. The Diaz fight, maybe. The juicy under. Volcan will pass for sure for me. What's the under there? That's also a plus money under. Gabriela Fernandez will pass for sure. Kenan Song will pass. Tabitha Ricci will pass. And I don't know, Davison Figueiredo, his cardio doesn't look bad at bantamweight. He's had a lot of 5-round fights. Who knows? Both these guys are low volume, so it's clear dog or pass. I don't understand people parlaying Peter Yan. That's it. You know, we have some regionals, a good LFA, good Cage Warriors. No point me talking about it without odds. Kyrax, Herzog had the over there. Leave him alone. Correct. It definitely looked like he had the over. What's up, Evan? Good job, mate. Great cleanup last week. You and Couch Warrior. Brave man having all those underdogs. I guess every now and then he pays off. SC for all. Salikov gets a big pop from the crowd when he fights in China. He seems washed, but he might be a layup in a country he feels comfortable in. Yeah, mate, but he's literally fighting a Chinese guy. Like, I get he gets a pop, but, you know, Song Kanon is actually going back to his homeland of China. But I get what you're saying. Whaley's type, one of the worst beats of the year. There's been a lot of them, mate. There's been a lot of them. Anyway, lads, that's it. No bets this week. You know, the streak ends. No Gibson, no Tisha Torres, no Miles Johns, no McGee, Lucindo. I've been having bets, 2-unit bets for weeks now on the early tees. Nothing this week. Yeah, it's going to take my time. Not donate any of my great earnings, as Evan would say. I've been here before. I've been in a great spot, and one bad week just ruins it all. So I ain't going to rush and ruin my momentum. I'm going to wait for the Cage Warriors. I'm just going to look for locks in between the 4 cards, regional cards that we have. And yeah, as Manny Moicano said, I can't afford to lose, lads. Can't afford to lose. Dogfather, if you want bets, mate, you're going to have to send me some dick pics in the Discord. All right? Easy solution. All right, like and subscribe. Or